So the Nintendo Switch 2 leaks have gotten pretty insane, and today we got to look at another accessory leak, of course. Some of you guys may be sick of those accessory leaks, but don't worry, that's not the main brux of what we're going to be talking about today, because we finally have the leaks that I feel are the most interesting. The ones we've all been waiting for, actual video games leaking, coming to Nintendo Switch 2. And we're not just talking about some indie games that are teasing things like Yooka Replay League. No. We're talking about a very reliable journalist essentially confirming, I shouldn't even say essentially, just straight up confirming a bunch of major games coming to Nintendo Switch 2. Now, this is a very fascinating topic for me because I'm actually aware of a number of large AAA games coming to Nintendo Switch 2. My own developer contacts have informed me on a bunch of stuff that I just don't get to talk about. I've also heard some chatter coming out of the actual investors meeting. And you know what? We're going to actually talk about some of that today as well. Thanks to Paul Gale Network, one of the friends of the channel. He put up a very interesting tweet that I want to make sure we check out. But besides that, I've also heard other chatter out of there that I literally can't talk about. I've also seen some other things behind the scenes that I can't talk about. Well, what I can tell you is the Nintendo Switch 2 is shaping up to be a very, very exciting system. Now, before we dive in, I want to remind you we're on the road to 140,000 subscribers. So if you're enjoying the content, want to see as of the Nintendo Switch 2 and other Nintendo news when it comes, because everything seems to be on pause until Nintendo reveals this thing, hey, go ahead and subscribe right here. So first, we'll head over to the Nintendo Switch 2 Reddit, and we see more photos of the Switch 2. Again, this is from an accessory manufacturer, like using that same 3D scan as D-Brand. Obviously, they're superimposing their own images on here as well. Like you can see here that this is, Mario Galaxy. We already have that on Switch in HD, but very nice looking little white case they're putting on here, leaving room for that U-shaped kickstand as well. Again, these are going to be probably based off those exact same 3D scans we know that D-Brand has because their CEO came out and said it. This image I always find interesting because we see these three things up here. We already know that that is a grill, that is the heat grate. It's just not, cut out from this thing that they put together here. I like this grip too because it does give a little bit of ergonomics here on the back portion, but still kind of interesting. Also, I just like the white look. This is a black version here as well. So that's looking pretty cool. You're seeing a close-up here of the back of the Joy-Cons. You can kind of see how there might be an extra battery compartment in here that maybe expands the battery life of the Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Con. But that's obviously something to consider. And then we here where the Joy-Con are just kind of on their own in like tabletop mode, which we haven't really seen much of. But obviously there's a kickstand. We know they detach. Clearly there's going to be support for tabletop mode. So these images obviously are really interesting. At this point, we kind of know that this is just what the system's going to look like. So I do think that it is definitely worth paying attention to in many regards. But but my general sense is that Nintendo just needs to reveal this, right? I think at this point, the look of the system isn't going to surprise me. The name of the system isn't going to surprise me. The games are what's going to surprise me. And thankfully, we get to start talking about those games as of today. Why? Because of Imran Khan. Now, who is Imran Khan? He is a journalist that works over at VentureBeat, but he formerly worked at Game Informer and some other outlets. Very well connected in the industry. He's over on Reset Era saying something. So over on Reset Era, he put up this post I have highlighted here. It says, some of the games that the original post has explicit concerns about will be on Switch 2. Day one, I don't know. But I also don't know why the original poster thinks those games won't come to Nintendo consoles when previous titles in the multiple series did. Now, okay, what are we talking about? What is this thread about? Well, let's go to the original post in this thread right here. And there's a lot of stuff said in here. It's a lot about the Game Awards and concerns about games not coming to Switch 2. But here are the games that they actually talked about. And we already know which of these IPs have already been on Switch that Imran Khan's referencing will be on Switch 2. So there will be those saying, just wait. All those games will also release on Switch 2. But I just don't see games like Onimusha, Witcher 4, Mafia the Old Country, Project Robot, Virtua Fighter, or even Akami 2 make it to Switch 2. Not on day one, maybe a years later port for some of them, and I only mentioned the big ones. I think most of the smaller games shown at the Game Awards 2024 aren't even in consideration for a Switch 2 release due to being PC or online adjacent, which kind of weird to say that, but three of those titles in particular we know Imran Khan was referencing because their prior games are on Nintendo Switch right now. Witcher 3. So yeah, Witcher 4, guys. Witcher 4 clearly is one of the games Imran talking about. There's actually other people out there. Necrofilipa Lima put up this tweet here. So also mentioning that Witcher 4 won't be this thing that's going to feel like this impossible port. It's just going to be a thing. That's really cool. Witcher 4 has me really excited, getting to follow Ciri here, following all the events in Witcher 1, 2, and 3. Obviously an older Ciri. We'll see what happens. Of course, it sounds like Geralt is actually in the game. He's kind of teased at the end of the trailer with the voice. So Geralt is in the game, but he's just not someone we play as. Anyways, I'm really excited about the entire prospect of this this game in Witcher 4, and I really like CD Projekt Red, and I hope they don't mess things up. So we'll see what happens. But that's not the only game as you're looking at the trailer here. Like, there's other games that were previously on Nintendo Switch. How about Mafia? That's right. The former Mafia games were also on Nintendo Switch. So Imran Khan is also saying Mafia, the old country, is going to be coming to Nintendo Switch too. And that trailer looks utterly amazing. It looks like it's a bit in the olden days, but we're going over to Italy, more towards the beginning of the Mafia stuff. Dude, I'm really excited about this. There's also something I want to note about those two games in particular, because since we actually have, like, gameplay related trailers kind of things, Witcher 4 and Mafia the Old Country are only coming out on Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5, and PC. That's right. There's no last gen version, no PlayStation 4, no Xbox One. Yet these games are coming to Nintendo Switch 2. What does this mean? Switch 2 is plenty powerful enough to get next gen, or I guess we should be saying current gen only games. So Switch 2 is powerful enough to get those games. That bodes very, very well for the future of Nintendo Switch 2 and its longevity on the market, especially since so many people think things like the PlayStation 5 Pro are unnecessary. They might even think the PlayStation 6 is unnecessary. We saw how long cross-gen was going down with PS4 and PS5. So even after PlayStation 6 comes out and Switch 2 is still a current platform, it probably still will get all those third-party games, especially when they're selling really well. I'm just really stoked about those two games in particular. But the game that's probably going to excite you guys the most is Okami. That's right. The original Okami game is indeed already ported over to Nintendo Switch. So that is a game Imran Khan was clearly referencing as well. Obviously, Okami 2 is much further out, and we didn't see a whole lot in the reveal trailer for it, but it is still very exciting to think that Okami 2, a game that I know a lot of Nintendo fans feel very fond of, feels like a natural fit, is going to go ahead and come on over to Nintendo Switch 2. Again, game rumors and game leaks are like the best things to talk about, in my opinion, when it comes to all of this, because, guys, the games are what matter. Like, we could talk forever and ever and ever about all of these things, but what really matters are the games. So I want to go over now and look at Paul Gale Network, friend of the channel. He was at the Game Awards, at the Afterparty, all this stuff. And we're going to go ahead and head on over to his Twitter account. He was there. We'll go through his tweets a little bit here. You're going to see, obviously, his pinned one he has about Metro Prime 4 Beyond. But this is one he did on my live stream where he jumped into the pool with the Master Sword lit on fire. It was pretty sick. I mean, look at that image. It is awesome. But as you come down here, you're going to see some things, like him having pictures with people from Square Enix, pictures with the people from who are these? Last of Us Part 2. Obviously, coming down here, we got Troy Baker there, and all of this stuff. But this is what we want to focus on here. This thing here. My takeaway from the Game Awards Afterparty regarding the successor to Nintendo Switch was very positive. Many people that I spoke to were excited to see the system, hyped over what Nintendo's games were going to look like next generation, or ready to play more modern third-party games on what they assume will be their lead platform. A few instances of confirmed dedicated support was also beyond promising to hear. Dedicated support. Now, obviously, he's not going to get into everything. He does note that a lot of the people at the Afterparty were not developers, but some were present. There were folks with NDAs, but beyond that, the industry's ready for another big jolt. So executives, right? A lot of executives and upper management and all that. Pretty exciting stuff. And just to show even more, Paul Gale Network likes to take his photos. This was with Amir, who won that one surprise one. Here's with Doug Bowser. You guys know good old Doug Bowser, right? So there's him with Doug Bowser, Phil Spencer. Here he is at the Game Awards. Look at all fine in his suit and all that. Look, guys, obviously Paul Gale Network showing off a little bit that he was just there and with a bunch of people, but I just want to note that it looks like the prospects of third-party games, and again, I already mentioned how I've heard stuff as well. It's looking real nice. The Nintendo Switch 2, I don't know if it's going to get every single AAA third-party game, but I kind of think it's going to get a majority of them. I don't know about GTA 6. I know some people have asked me direct questions privately about it. I don't know anyone who works on that team, so I have no clue if that game is one of the planned ones, but I would be a little surprised, given what we know now with like Witcher 4 and other ones coming over, that we wouldn't get that. It doesn't make sense. Not at launch, of course. They seem to always go PlayStation first, then everywhere else. But still, I'm really excited for the prospect of the Switch show. Excited for the power of the system. I'm excited for what we're hearing from third-party games. We're probably going to see more and more games kind of leak like this over the next few weeks. We're likely to see, obviously, more accessory makers doing crazy things with their accessories now that they have those 3D scans that seemingly came from the factory. I said seemingly. I don't know 100% know, but it kind of feels like D. Brandon and the rest got them from the factory. And what I am going to point out is Nintendo's revealing this damn thing by the end of March 31st, 2025 at the latest. Probably revealing next month. Everything seems to be lining up for January. Now, I do think Nintendo maybe made some mistakes, not announcing it sooner and not getting ahead of some of this stuff and controlling the entire narrative. But also, I don't think anything we're seeing is hurting the narrative for it anyways. I don't think anything we've talked about over the last week or two makes Nintendo Switch 2 sell any worse. You know what I mean? Like, none of it's been bad news. Even for those out there like, but it just looks like another Switch. Duh. The current Switch has 127 million active players. Duh. So, anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I am Nathaniel Robojets from Nintendo Prime. Let me know what you think about all this awesome stuff down in the comments below, and I will catch each and every one of you guys in the next video.